One question that I've always struggled to answer on my channel is, do I feel like I'm flaring with my Crohn's disease? Because it really isn't all that straightforward. Hey guys, it's Maggie and I am back today on this very, very hot day. Okay, we had some miserable, rainy, cool weather for at least a week here in Pennsylvania. We were wondering if summer was ever going to show up, and boy, it did. It really did, because now it's just so miserable and hot outside. We're all a little bit cranky, and to be real with you, you're lucky I'm wearing a shirt today. Anyways, today I wanted to talk about my health now that I'm postpartum. I know that I have some new followers from pregnancy and from talking about postpartum stuff. So if you aren't familiar, I live with Crohn's disease. That's the whole reason I started this channel. Let's talk IBD, let's talk inflammatory bowel disease, aka Crohn's being one of those illnesses. Crohn's has impacted my life greatly. I've had so many surgeries because of it, lost a number of organs because of it, but it's one of those weird things where I don't really know if I've had symptoms of Crohn's in a very long time. When I was younger and I had everything intact, you know, I had my colon and rectum and whatnot, it was really easy for me to tell when I was not feeling good, when things were not going well with my intestines. I knew when there was inflammation. And now, because I don't have everything and my body works a little bit different with an ostomy bag, it just really isn't straightforward. Sometimes I don't recognize a problem if there's a problem. And things have not been perfect since I've delivered, but they've been pretty dang good. I'm very fortunate with that. But I thought we could talk about it today, talk about health and postpartum and Crohn's and all that good stuff. But first, I do want to thank today's sponsor, which is 𝙗𝙗𝙗𝙗, something that is making a huge impact right now because one of my main symptoms that I'm having postpartum is dehydration due to my ostomy, potentially due to Crohn's. 𝙗𝙗𝙗𝙗 is a zero sugar electrolyte. It's my favorite one. It has 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 of potassium, and 60 of magnesium. And they have such delicious flavors. My favorite now being their new lemonade salt one. But they also have raspberry, grapefruit, watermelon, orange. I'm trying to think what else. They have a number of flavors to choose from. They're all really good, not too sweet, not too salty, and they provide the perfect amount of hydration, the perfect amount of electrolytes to make you feel your best, especially if you deal with dehydration, which a lot of people do. Symptoms like headaches and fatigue and brain fog and weakness and, you know, just not being 100%. I have been noticing that quite a bit since I've delivered my baby girl, and so 𝙗𝙗𝙗𝙗 has really been how I've been surviving, how I've been keeping hydrated, and I love this cute water bottle that they sent me. I also love that there's no artificial colors or flavors or gluten, anything that you don't really need in an electrolyte solution. They don't have it, you know, it's just straightforward hydration. I've been using it for quite some time now, and I love sharing about them because it's made such a positive impact on my day-to-day health. And they're kindly sending out a free sample pack with any order of 𝙗𝙗𝙗𝙗 by going to drinkelement.com/LetsTalkIBD. That's DRINKLMNT.com/LetsTalkIBD. It's a great way to try a number of flavors, or you can share them with a friend, whatever you want to do. I usually keep them on hand because I love them. I love trying all the different flavors, but definitely try the lemonade one. Thank you, 𝙗𝙗𝙗𝙗 for sponsoring this video. Okay, so let's talk about health. I think the number one thing that I've been struggling with, like I said, hydration, because this is just going to be a chatty video because I had thoughts about what I wanted to share health-wise, and you know, things all tie together, so I'm just going to be chatting about it. With my Crohn's disease, when I had all of my organs, I had my colon and rectum and whatnot, it was very easy for me to tell when I was getting sick. There were certain pains that I could feel that I knew, like I had this burning stomach ache that I would get. That's when I would know that the inflammation would be bad or it would look worse on a scope. And I would either have severe constipation or early on I had severe diarrhea with bloody stools. Like, it was not fun, but it was really easy for me to tell that things were not going well. And then I wound up getting my ostomy, where we took the colon out of the equation, which was really the roughest spot for me. And, you know, while having an ostomy or having, you know, a number of surgeries really can make you feel so much better, can put you into remission, it doesn't make things perfect. You'll never be 100% who you were before, right? Like you don't have the same organs, you don't work the same way. So your symptoms can be different, and it's like, well, is that just a result because I have an ostomy and I have to expect that my bowels will be faster? Or is the disease that caused me to have the ostomy, is that acting up? That's why it's kind of been a little bit difficult for me to answer that question of, do you feel like you're going into a flare? Do you feel sick? Like, do you feel like your Crohn's is becoming more active? And it's like, I don't know. You know, I have no idea. What I will tell you though, postpartum, the number one symptom I've been having is an increase with my ostomy output. And that can absolutely be a symptom of Crohn's, you know, diarrhea. But for me, it's like, well, I could eat something funny and it could just not settle well with my small intestine. And because I don't have anything to slow it down, I don't have the colon to absorb fluids back in, things are just more speedy and it's fine. Like maybe there's no inflammation. Hard for me to tell though, right? Anyways, yes, my ostomy has been increasing with its output. That was a blessing, I guess, during pregnancy, is that everything slowed down, which is totally common. Everything slowed down and I felt like I was absorbing so much more, which in my mind made me think, okay, my body knows that it needs to absorb more because it's growing a baby. Well, I'm still growing a baby because I'm breastfeeding, but now my ostomy is speeding up, and that has been really difficult for a couple of reasons. Number one is I need to get enough nutrition. I need to get enough hydration in order to make good breast milk for my baby to grow, which thankfully I've been doing. You know, the element has played a huge part in that, really has, because I have to stay hydrated. Like that's the number one thing. They tell you, drink lots of water. And the element is what helps me absorb it because of those electrolytes. It helps my intestines actually pull the fluid through rather than just racing through me. So that's been okay. But the other side of it is, in the morning when I wake up is when my ostomy is the most active. And that's when I do the most with baby girl. You know, I am breastfeeding first thing in the morning. I'm getting her changed because she goes through a number of diapers in the morning, okay? She goes through a number of them. I'm playing with her, and a lot of this involves me obviously carrying her and moving her around, and that is when my ostomy fills up, usually like 3 times, and I have to empty. And she does not like to be put down during this time. So I've got a screaming baby while I have to empty my ostomy, or else it's going to explode, and obviously I don't want that to happen. So it's a little bit of a dilemma for me because I don't want to hear my baby crying, but I know that I need to take care of myself in order to take care of her. So that's been a learning process, understanding that. And I think this is important to say for anybody dealing with chronic illness, or really if you're just a parent, I don't know. It's like when they tell you on a plane that you should put your own oxygen mask on before you put on anybody else's. You have to make sure you're caring for yourself, at least to a certain extent. I think there are things that you could, you know, maybe push back, maybe fall back on a little bit. But there are certain non-negotiables that you need to take care of yourself in order to take care of your baby. So figuring out what those items are have definitely been interesting. And one of them is I gotta empty my ostomy, especially like with little babies. In the last few days, she has discovered her body, and she has discovered that she can move. She is kicking, she is waving, whacking, inflatable arm flailing tube man. That's what she is. And so I have to keep in mind that while she's like that, she doesn't know I have a stoma. She doesn't know about my ostomy. So I have to make sure that I'm taking care of my ostomy bag and protecting it too, from her, because it's only going to increase from here. Her movement is only going to grow from here. So that's been interesting too. Something else that has been a little bit of a struggle, and this was kind of a struggle throughout my pregnancy, is the fatigue, which I totally expected. And this is kind of one of those things where, is it the chronic illness? Is it the Crohn's disease? Or is it your ostomy? Or is it just you're a new mom and you're not getting any uninterrupted sleep? I think it's a little bit of both, but I think it's mainly the latter. I really do think you're a new mom and you have a baby that wakes up frequently. The fatigue is rough. And I am so fortunate to have a wonderful support system, aka my husband, because he's, you know, we are grateful. He has had 3 months of paternity leave. We still have a bit to go. That has been incredible, and I don't know how people do it by themselves. I really don't. I really don't. And with him being home, it's allowed me to hand her off, you know, make a bottle, hand her off to him, and let me take a nap. But I realize that he's going to go back to work soon. He does work from home a number of days throughout the week. He only goes into the office a couple times per week, but still, he's going to be working. So me taking a nap in the middle of the day might not always be possible. I know that people say sleep when the baby sleeps. Okay, babies wake up a lot. They make a lot of noise in their sleep. It's sometimes hard to sleep next to a baby. Especially overnight, she does sleep really good, but during the day, her naps are a little bit more active. So napping next to her is really difficult. So that's a challenge that I'm kind of trying to work towards. So I've been trying to cut back on daytime naps for myself and just trying to make it through the day. But by evening time, holy cow, I'm done. I'm done. So I got a little bit worried. I'm like, is there something going on? Am I not getting enough nutrients? Are my iron levels okay? You know, trying to think of everything. And, you know, I am taking a number of supplements to try and make sure that I'm good. I'm still taking a prenatal. I'm taking iron. I'm taking calcium at a different time than the iron. Don't worry. And a bunch of other things just to make sure that I am getting enough nutrients. But there is that fear of like, am I good? Are we okay? Is the Crohn's good? Or are you just not getting enough because your ostomy is going crazy? Now, the fatigue is nothing new. Like I said, during pregnancy, I was exhausted, but it does feel like it's increased. I really do think it's because it's just, I'm not used to not sleeping through the night. I'm grateful because right now where we're at with her sleep schedule, I feed her at 8:30. She's usually asleep by 9:30 to 10. I sleep for a little bit, then I get up to pump around like 11:30 to midnight. Then she feeds again at 2:30, so I wake up for that. Usually she's back to sleep by 3. She goes back to sleep pretty quick in the middle of the night, at least for right now. And then for the day, she wakes up between 5 and 6 a.m. That allows me pretty good stretches of sleep, but still they aren't long. It's not like your typical sleep that you're used to where you go to bed at night and you wake up in the morning, and that's that. So I am recognizing that it could be multifactorial, you know. Your ostomy is going a little wild. Maybe you're not absorbing everything that you need to, and you're also a new mom with a baby that wakes up, and you're going to wake up with her. So that has been something kind of interesting that I am preparing myself for, because I want to make it through the day without needing sleep and just sleep at night. As time goes on and she gets older, that's only going to improve, but it is on my mind. It's something I'm nervous for when my husband goes back to work, because like today, I'm gonna take a nap. I feel like I need one. Going back though to that idea of caring for yourself first, like there are certain things that you gotta do in order to take care of your baby. There are some things that I'm like, yes, I need that done every day. I need to get it taken care of. And then there are other things that I let go where I'm like, if we don't get it done, it's okay. One thing that is a non-negotiable for me, because I think it just helps with my mental health as well, is showering and putting on fresh clothing every day. Doesn't have to be fancy clothing. Like I may be walking around in just a bra later today because it's so hot, and that is my outfit. Totally fine. But it's the showering and just feeling clean, feeling good. I've learned ways to be able to get that done. Right now, my husband's been, holding her or at least being near her if she's napping. But earlier on, I was doing a little bouncer chair in the bathroom with me. When he goes back to work, we'll probably go back to that method. Just finding ways for me to be able to get that done. And sometimes it does. Like with the bouncer chair in the bathroom with me, it involves me having to get out of the shower covered in soap to put the binky back in her mouth. So that's been fun. That's been fun. I like when Zach is able to watch her though, because then I could just take the shower and be done. But yeah, things that like fall to the wayside is skincare and stuff. Like I feel like the attention I've been able to have on my skin has been less. And I told you guys previously that I'm dealing with a lot of acne. I think it's a lot of like hormonal acne. And I've been trying different products, but it's hard to stay consistent on that when you're finishing up your shower and you hear her screaming and you know she's hungry and you're like, I gotta get dressed real quick and run downstairs to help. That's where the line gets blurred, and I'm just like, well, skincare out the window. That being said, I'm thinking about other things that I can't let go, and one of those is taking care of my ostomy. I'm not talking about emptying like I was before, but just changing it as frequently as I need to, especially in this summer heat. I am starting to get, I think, like little fungal rashes. Because I am really pushing it with the wear time. I am wearing my ostomy bags probably longer than they should be. Where do you find time to change it, right? But also just doing the things that I need to do to keep it in check. Like I have talked about my 𝙘𝙤𝙡𝙦 a lot on here, and sometimes I don't put it on after a shower, and I started to get a little fungal like rash around where the fabric border sits. It actually, in my recent video where I did a bag change, there's a little red spot. That was what it was. That was it starting. So I've had to be like, hey, you need to take the 10 seconds to put on your 𝙘𝙤𝙡 after a shower to make sure your skin is actually dry, because then you're going to cause yourself a lot more problems if you don't take care of that ahead of time. It's so, wow, life is so different, and just all the things you have to think about. What's priority, what isn't, and I'm learning there's certain health things that I just have to maintain. I just have to maintain in order to avoid problems later on that take even longer to care for. So that's been fun. I have been fortunate though in terms of how I actually feel, other than just the increased ostomy output and sometimes feeling dehydrated. Thankfully I can stay pretty on top of that just by drinking a lot, but feeling good. Like I'm not having abdominal pain, and I really haven't had abdominal pain in a long time. Very fortunate. That is like the number one thing that always told me my Crohn's was acting up, was this very certain stomach ache that felt very sour and burning. That was my telltale sign that, I needed help. And I still get this question quite a bit of, are you on any medications for your Crohn's disease? And I'm not currently. I have not been on any medication for over a year now. I was on 𝙗𝙪𝙾, and that seemed to work really well for me. The whole reason I went on 𝙗𝙪𝙾 was it was when I still had my colon. We thought maybe it would help with the colon inflammation, buy me a little bit more time before I would get my colon removed. Really didn't help with that, but what it did help with was I had a small amount of inflammation starting at my stoma. And within a very short period of time, I want to say maybe a couple of months of being on 𝙗𝙪𝙾, that inflammation cleared up. I got an MRI and it was gone. So it worked really well for that. It just, the inflammation that was in my colon was more probably diversion colitis than it was Crohn's disease. Whatever. But I was on 𝙗𝙪𝙾 for a few years just to try and maintain things. Then I had my ectopic pregnancy, which resulted in emergency surgery during that period of time, because once I found out it was ectopic, I knew that the chance for surgery was there. So I stopped taking 𝙗𝙪𝙾 because oftentimes your doctor will recommend that you stop any sort of immunosuppressive drug just so you can heal from your procedure. And so I stopped it, and I never went back on it. And I did talk to my GI after the fact. I forget when I went to him. I don't remember. I think it was like 6 months later. I know I'm terrible. But I went to him 6 months later and I said, hey, so I never went back on the 𝙗𝙪𝙨. And I feel good. Like I'm doing pretty good. Oh, I remember what happened. I told him the next September because I was pregnant at that point. I said, listen, I never went back on the 𝙗𝙪𝙨. Summer was great. I felt good. Now I'm pregnant and I don't want to go back on a medication. I don't want to mess with anything. And so he's like, all right, cool. We'll monitor you. We'll really monitor you after you deliver and see what happens. So that's still the plan. And that's thankfully, I kind of talked about it in previous videos, but my GI was super thrilled about the pregnancy, but also, you know, let me know, hey, if you need anything or things change after you deliver and you feel like the Crohn's is acting up, we're here. Like, we will tackle it. So that is a relief to know that I have that. I still don't feel like anything's crazy enough that there's an issue. Like the ostomy output, dehydration, and fatigue are all things that are not all that uncommon for me. It's just, those things are, they make it difficult to feel like you're being a good parent, but I feel like I've worked really hard. I feel like I've done so much for this little girl, and I love it. I absolutely love it. So I'm actually proud of myself for that. I'm putting her first, but I'm still taking care of myself as best as possible. That's a cool feeling. That's a cool feeling. I probably won't feel like that every single day. I will probably have a lot of guilt. If I have periods where I don't feel good, I hear her crying. Zach is with her, don't worry. I'll have periods where I feel like I'm not 100% mom, you know, like awesome. I don't feel that way. That sounded really obnoxious, but you know what I'm saying. Like I'll have days where I just feel like I'm failing. But what I'm trying to remind myself is whether or not there's a chronic illness involved. I think every single parent has points where they feel like that. Yeah, it's pretty common. Overall, I'm really thrilled with how things are going. There have been some challenges related to my health, some challenges that are just part of parenthood, as you've seen. But I'm really happy with how things are going. But I am definitely going to continue monitoring my health. Especially with the hydration, because I don't want to get to a point where I need IV fluids again. That was such a pain in the butt. And honestly, I couldn't imagine doing what I did to get IV fluids before now, because I used to have to drive an hour and then I would get a bolus of 1,000 milliliters and then I would feel just exhausted and totally worn out afterwards and have to drive home. How do you do that with a baby? That's not easy. So I feel like the element, like electrolytes, that has kept me from that for so long. And it feels like it's continuing to do that for me, so I'm grateful for that. But these are the things that I'm keeping in the back of my mind. It's just the reality of, you know, you do have this Crohn's disease. It is still there. You do have a body that is a little bit altered from the typical body. So that's what I'm just keeping in mind. Yeah, that's the health update. That's what's going on health-wise, physically and in my mind. So thank you so much for watching today's video. And remember, if you are interested in trying some Element, you can get a free sample pack with any order of Element by going to drinkelement.com/LetsTalkIBD. Try the lemonade flavor. Delicious. All right, guys, I'm gonna go beat the heat by, I don't know, staying low and sitting in front of a fan. All right, guys, I will see you very soon. Bye. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you are looking for a way to help support my channel, consider liking this video or even subscribing. You can also check out my store at LetsTalkIBD.shop. I have stickers and hoodies like these guys over here, just related to chronic illness and inflammatory bowel disease, something fun. And I also have a coupon code for my YouTube watchers. You could also become a member of my channel, like the wonderful people scrolling on screen here. They've become a member and they have access to videos a little bit earlier. It's a great way to support my channel, and really, just watching my videos means the world. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next.